Task managers are great until they fill up, and then they become overwhelming lists of stress and anxiety. Now, that's not the fault of you, that is just simply the way that digital to-do lists or task managers work. Well, I got thinking about this and I was wondering, is there a way to tame the beast so that you can have a much more easier list to work from, a more focused list to work from each day? And I think I've come up with a solution. Now, back in the day, before digital revolution, round about 2005, or the digital explosion when smartphones came into our world, we used to do our task lists on something like this. Now, this is my old Franklin planner. Now, this dates back, I think, to 2010, but I never actually used it because in 2009, I went all in digital. But I know you can't see this very clearly. I'll take a close-up and put this as a bit of a B-roll. But down here, we did actually have a little bit of a limit as to what we could actually put into our to-do list each day. And most people who were using a Franklin planner back in those days would know that anything that went beyond this line was likely not to get done. Now, we also used a prioritization system, A, B, C, 1, 2, 3, so on and so forth. But it was great. And you had your calendar down here. So you could actually see on one page, if you had like 8 or 9 meetings down here, there was no point in having a long list of tasks here because they were not going to get done. And over here is where you would put your notes. Franklin planners were great, and it's probably why they lasted so long and why so many people still use them today. But let's be honest, carrying around something like this, which is pretty thick and pretty heavy all day, is probably not the most convenient thing you can do, particularly when now we have smartphones which are a fraction of the size and weight of one of these. However, that means that we need to get a little bit smarter in the way that we're using our digital tools. Task managers will soak up anything that you throw into them, but the problem is all that stuff is going to come out at some point, and that's when we get task overwhelm. And so today I just want to show you a quick way that you can manage this task list, make it a little bit more realistic, and more importantly, how I do it using Todoist and Evernote. So let's get started. Okay, so here we have my Todoist. Now, Todoist, this is my genuine Todoist. This is my day to day. Now, I'm recording these in the morning, so you can get to see what my day looks like. Now, as you can see, I've got a project up here. So today, the day that I'm recording this is a project day. So I actually have my labels up here, and this is how I organize my Todoist. Now, for those of you not familiar with Todoist, essentially Todoist gives you a number of features, I suppose, like most task managers. We've got our projects area down here. We've got our favorites, which is based on something that Todoist calls filters, and I've done loads of videos on filters. And we have the All Essential here today. Now, what you'll notice is these are all categorized by the kind of work that I do. Now, this matches my time blocks on my calendar. And I've done videos on that before as well. I'm not going to bore you with all that. And this video would then be very, very long. But what you can see is I've got all my lists organized like this. Now, what normally happens is people will do, if I go into my view options here and just go and remove the grouping and just group by none. Now, this isn't too bad. I've already done quite a few tasks already today. This isn't too bad. However, what I notice is most people's task managers end up looking like this, which is just a huge long list of stuff to do. Now, in the Franklin Planner, you could see instantly when you opened up your day if you were overwhelmed because you'd have too many tasks and then you could move them off. The way that you can do it in Todoist, as I say, is you can actually group things by label. So if you set up your labels correctly, as I've done here, shall we say, I will just close my filters. But I've only got 8 labels and they all relate to the work that I do. So writing projects, audiovisual clients, etc. So that's great. That's all in there. That's done. Let's go back to my today's focus. And we've got a task here called Work on the 2024 Ultimate Productivity Workshop. Now, I've got a project note here, which is probably going to open up on my other screen, but let's just tap it. It does. It opens on my other screen. So I'm going to bring that in. And this then takes me directly to the note that related to that project. Now, I'll go into the full, this is all set up in my Evernote here under projects. So I've got a project window there, just pull down, there's the 20 Ultimate Productivity Workshop. I've got my speaker notes already set up, they're all here, and I've got my project note here. Now, everything I need to work on this project is here. It's not in Todoist. All that Todoist is telling me is go and work on this project. This project is managed from here. So in here, I've got my next actions. I don't need to put these into Todoist because I've got 2 hours now to work on this project. I don't want to be going back and forth to Todoist. What next? What next? It's all here. And I'm going to be working on it from here. So I've got a few things to do. I've got to set up my Outlook. I've got to set up the Google Calendar. I've got to check the keynote slides. And I need to review my speaker notes to make sure that it's relevant and still up to date. I've also played around with the introduction that I want to do at the start of the workshop. I've also got a pre-workshop checklist because this one here I have forgotten to do once when I've done this workshop. And it becomes a bit so I make sure I've got this checklist there when I'm setting up the studio ready to do the workshop. I've also got a link to the note, the iCloud note, my numbers note, which has all the participants. And I've got the recordings folder here, which is a Dropbox, so students can actually download the recordings of the video or participants. I've also got my original notes that I did in early February. I think, yep, I did these in early February because I've got the date there, and I remember doing these at the beginning of February, sketching out my notes on paper first. So if you've been following me recently, you will see this. So this is just basically a simple Evernote note set up in a project which has all the details that I need. So I've got my speaker notes are all here, all ready to go through. I've got my day one speaker notes here. Everything that I need is right here. I don't need to be going back and forth from Todoist. I've also got backlinks to those notes as well. So I can click there, it'll take me back. I can go to that particular note. So none of that I can do in Todoist. So when I'm working on this project, when I'm adding notes, when I want to work on the project, and let's just imagine if you were doing an Excel file or you were preparing a Word document report, there's going to be a link somewhere to that Word file, and you can put them all in here, as I've done down here. I've got external links are in blue, internal links, like backlinks as Evernote calls them, are right here. This connects to my master project list, which is right here. So I've got my book, which is coming out. I've got my fitness project. I've got everything there. Now, again, when I'm doing my weekly planning, all I need to do is click on here and it will take me back to this note. So really, all that Todoist is doing, so let's just move this out of the way a moment. All that Todoist is doing is telling me this is what I need to work on in my project's time that I'm working on today. This means that my list is absolutely clean. It also means on my calendar, I've got my time blocks. And as you can see here, I've got my project work time, I've got my audio visual work time, and I've got my communication time, and everything that I need is there. So I don't need to be going into Todoist thinking, oh, what do I do next? My calendar is directing the day. I've got my meetings in there. After the meeting, I can then say, oh, it's communication time. Let's go in and clear my action this day folder. I have all these things that are all set up, and I can actually have a nicely structured day. As you can also see on my calendar, I made sure there's plenty of gaps in between sessions of work for those ad hoc telephone calls, messages that need to be responded to, and quick questions that may come from my boss. There is enough time in my day to get the work done. But it all starts really from the calendar to tell me these are what I'm doing today. Todoist is then telling me, okay, these are the project tasks that need to be done. I don't need the individual task for this particular project because, as I say, you just click on that, it'll take me to the project note and I can get on and work. And this one here, I don't need a project note for that because I know exactly what needs to be done. These are banners. I have a folder in iCloud where all the banners are. I just need to update them. And down here, as you can see, I'm actually already doing this. I'm recording my YouTube videos now. Yellow flags for me means morning task. Blue flag means afternoon task. And so everything that I need is right here. So I never feel overwhelmed. And if you do set up your task manager so that it is organized by the category of work that you're going to do, you're going to feel a lot less stressed. Hopefully that's given you some ideas of being able to just get your today list, which is the most important list of the day, down here. Now the thing is, I've now just let me just put the I'm not used to seeing things like that, so I'm going to group by label. So you can see I'm going in here, grouping by label, everything's there. So the only difference between this list, because people ask me this one, the today list, why do you have these two? Today's focus does not have the unflagged tasks. If I go back to my today, you can see here, everything here is flagged. If I go back to today, the flagged items are here. These are the less important. They don't necessarily have to be done today, but these are the kind of tasks I usually do after dinner because they're easy, they're simple, and it's no problem to do. Okay, so hopefully that's given you some ideas. Now, if you want to know a little bit more about how I actually have Todoist set up right now, then this video up here is the one to watch next.